How's Elton doing?
He's doing better. He still will not be out at practice today, but we'll give him the rest of the week to get healthy.
When did that injury happen in the course of the game? Because he obviously played every snap for you.
You know, I can't even think of what play it was, but I know it happened based on what everybody told me, and he gutted it out. And so, because I didn't notice a drop-off in his play at any point. So, you know, he just sucked it up and gutted it out for his teammates.
So when did you become aware that your left tackle had an ankle?
Post-game.
And how long does it typically take before a new defensive system really takes hold and is what you want it to be?
Well, I think it's always a work in progress. I mean, I think back to my past experiences, whether it's being on new staffs or, you know, with the offense, for example. I mean, look how far we came from 19 to 20. So there's, you know, it's different, I would say, for every situation. Certainly we know that there's a lot that we can improve upon, which is a positive thing, especially coming out of a win. So there's definitely room for improvement, but there is in every area right now. It's still early in the season, and trust me, we are working our tail off to get everything fixed.
What makes George Kittle such a big challenge, and what are the keys to trying to not let him go off?
Yeah, he's a dynamic player. I think you can really see just the love for the game every time that he's out there playing. He's going 100 miles an hour. He's making plays both in the run game and in the pass game. He's a complete tight end, but I think it's just the energy and toughness and passion that he plays with. I think he's obviously a very intelligent football player. I think he's got a great feel for the game. And so he's a guy that they definitely are going to try to get the ball to. He just, every time he gets the ball in his hands, he seems to make something out of it. So just really one of the better tight ends in all the game of football.
Matt, how much does it help that even already in week 3 you have film against a common opponent? Both they and you guys played the Lions. Can you take anything from that helps you?
I think you take something from every game, but the fact that it's a common opponent, I don't think that really plays as much into it. It's more about the type of systems that you're playing. So, you know, going into the Detroit game, I would say it helped us more from an offensive standpoint, seeing what the Niners offense did than it did from a defensive standpoint, because they're two completely different schemes.
So you know Kyle's offense very well, you know Kyle very well. Joe's coached against him a number of times. So do you have to be careful not to drive yourself crazy about thinking about all the things that he might come up with? Do you have to trust your knowledge of what you know of him sometimes?
Yeah, absolutely. I think just going back to our first year in LA, 2017, remember I sat in there with the defensive staff and it wasn't much help because they came out and scorched us. So I think you always got to be careful about how much you tell one side of the ball.
And you told us after the game about the conversation you had with Joe about getting pass rush. How much autonomy do you like your defensive coordinator to have? And then, you know, even though you're an offensive backgrounded guy, you're still the head coach. So how much input do you like to have on that?
Yeah, I think it's just based on the situation. I do know that ultimately I'm responsible for all 3 phases, and I feel like it's part of my responsibility to challenge, whether it's our offensive staff, our defensive staff, or special teams, or when you have questions, or when you see something that you think might be helpful. But at no point in time am I ever telling Joe or Mo, you know, exactly what to do. You know, I tell myself what to do, but no, I'm just kidding. I didn't get anything. Sorry.
You can't, with the mask,
see.
you can't tell if we're smiling or not. You want like fake laughter? Or what?
Yeah, I'd appreciate that.
Matt, how dangerous of a player is someone like Nick Bosa?
He can wreck a game. He's an elite rusher. You can really feel his ability to get off the football, but I think he's he's really violent, obviously, in the pass game and disruptive, but also in the run game. I think a lot of that is, it's not only a credit to the player, but it's a credit to their scheme in terms of just how they stress their get off the football. Their D-line coach, Chris Kasurek, I think got a lot of respect for him. I know he's had a lot of experience going against the Green Bay Packers from his time in Detroit. So, but no, he does a great job, and they got great players, and it really complements itself very well.
Matt, I know you talked about with Warner exactly where he ranks and how good he is in this league, but what do you think it is about his game that's allowed him to excel, at a pretty young age in this league with what he's been able to accomplish at the inside backer spot?
Who was that?
Fred Warner, sorry.
Oh, with Fred?
Yeah.
Yeah, Fred he's a stud, man. He just makes play after play after play, and he's just so physical. He's so fast. He's so smart. He can diagnose things like so quickly, and he's the leader of that defense. And I think he is, again, if he's not the top, he's right there with the top. I personally, I think I don't know many better than him.
What is your viewpoint on penalties? Maybe it's like there's a previous coach here who didn't really care so much. Obviously, false starts are bad, but some other penalties he really wasn't too mad about. What do you just think all penalties are bad, or are some better than others? I'm just curious because you guys are ranking pretty well.
I don't. We don't like penalties. It's usually a pretty bad deal.
Okay, I was just curious because, like I said, some coaches in some teams even there's no correlation between winning and losing in penalties. I just was curious if there's.
Yeah, I mean, I know from just, certainly, I just, obviously we coach to not put yourself in a position to get a penalty. From an offensive perspective, it's hard when you get behind the sticks and you're in those get back on track situations. So that is certainly something that we're always stressing. Mo's stressing it on special teams, and then defensively, the same thing with Joe Barry and our staff. Just, it takes a lot of discipline to play the right way, and thankfully, for knock on wood, our guys have done a pretty good job of that.
Hey Matt, Bill asked Aaron yesterday about the touchdown to Tunyon, and then I asked him about a throw where he looked like he led Tunyon into getting a pass interference penalty, and Rodgers informed us that it was just a bad throw by him. And we kind of got into the discussion of how often that happens to him. I'm wondering, coaching him and then all the other quarterbacks you've seen in your career, how often do quarterbacks miss their spot, and is Rodgers just vastly different than most, I don't want to say mortal quarterbacks, but non-future Hall of Fame quarterbacks that way?
Yeah, I think there's a big reason why he is who he is, and it's his ability to put the ball in the perfect spot. I think one of the plays that we were talking about the other day was on the little touchdown pass, on that little rollout pass to Aaron Jones in the flat. I mean, it's something that unless you really look for it, you don't truly appreciate just the pinpoint accuracy. And when he has, I mean, he can do it off platform as well, but when he's in the pocket and he's balanced, I mean, I don't know if there's anybody better. And then his ability to make those movement throws or off-platform throws is as good as anybody.
So having a former quarterback as his head coach, do you guys, when you design a play, is there a component of where you want the quarterback to put the ball? Like, is there a specific way that ball needs to be thrown, or is that just taking advantage of his ability?
I mean, yeah, there's certain times where you absolutely have to lead receivers or put more air under it for certain guys, but he is, he doesn't miss too much.
Matt, you've consistently said that you like press coverage at the line of scrimmage, and you specifically like it when Kevin King presses at the line of scrimmage, and yet we continue to see him backing off and off coverage. What's the disconnect there, especially when you've kind of made it clear that that's what you like seeing?
It's all predicated on the coverage that's called first and foremost, and then what is the split of the receiver? Are they in a stack? Are they in a bunch? So you can't just say that as a blanket statement. It's situationally, and when the opportunities present themselves, and we're in the right coverage call for that, then I think that's what we'd like to see. But if they don't present themselves, then you're not going to do that. You're not going to press in every single coverage that you have.
So you have no issue with how much off coverage has been played in the first 2 weeks?
No, I have more issues with, when our guys are making mental errors, or if we have lows on defense or offense or special teams. That's the stuff that you can really control, that we're trying to get corrected and make sure that everybody's on the same page. Because I know whether it's offense, defense, special teams, but just the game of football in general, when you have all 11 on the same page, you got a pretty good chance of succeeding. When you're having one guy or two guys and you have a mental error, then it's tough to have success.
Matt, when a team puts one corner on your receiver and he's going to be there pretty much all the day, does that answer some questions for you? I mean, is that sometimes actually beneficial, or does it make it tougher for you when their best corner is going to be your best receiver?
I think it all changes based on the game plan. Again, what type of coverage are they playing? Or is it a double team? Is it just a one-on-one? Is the guy inside leverage? Is he outside leverage? And then you're constantly adjusting how you attack people. That's why I think it's important to move people around, so that hopefully it keeps the defense a little bit off balance as well. But certainly, when you do move somebody around and you see a corner trailing them or whatnot, or going with them, it gives you a pretty good indication of what the defense is trying to do.
Now, how did you or Mo or the personnel staff see Kylin Hill as a returner? He hadn't really done much of it in college, and it looks like you guys really have something there.
Yeah, no, I think it's just he's showcased. He's an explosive guy that I think he's well built for it, and I think he's going to continue to get better and better and better, especially as the guys around him get better. I mean, we got some young guys on there on the kickoff return, but I thought for the most part they've been doing a pretty good job. We just got to cut out the penalties.
Randall made a couple plays for you on Monday night. You got a lot of guys. There's only so many snaps to go around. I get all that, but does he need to play at least a little bit more because he produced, and B, there's some connection with Aaron, or is it just you have so many guys and it's just going to be a challenge all year long?
No, I think that's part of our responsibility, is to try to get everybody involved in the game plan and in the game, and you'd like to have some balance there, and certainly that's something that we've got to do a better job with.
All right, let's go to Zoom. Sarah, go ahead.
Yep, we have two. Eric Branch.
Hey, Matt, I had a question about Josh Norman. Obviously, seeing him at the peak of his powers, 2015 era, a lot of time has passed. I didn't realize it's just one game, but could you tell from that this start against the Eagles whether there's some juice left with Josh Norman?
Yeah, I think absolutely. There's a lot of juice left there, and especially with veteran players that have played at a high level, there's a certain level of craftiness amongst those guys as well. And he's a dangerous guy out on the football field because he's got that unique ability to take the football away. So he's a guy that we'll have to make sure that we're conscious of where he's at.
Aaron Nagler.
Coach, have you been surprised at all at the lack of production you got from Amari as a returner? I mean, he did it in college at a pretty damn high level, but he's really kind of struggled, so to speak, so far in his first two games as a pro.
Yeah, Aaron, I don't want to read too much into it right now. It's still early. He's had limited opportunities, and so I do believe in the person and the player, and that we'll get him going. It's just, for some rookies, it takes them a minute to get the feel of the NFL game. It's different than the college game, and but also it's not just solely on a returner. You need all 10 around you to do their job to help you maximize when you do get those opportunities. We got to do a great job of holding the punt team up at the line of scrimmage, and then out on the edges, we got to do a great job blocking the gunners.